Hello, everyone. Welcome. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone joining us today, wherever you are in the globe. Welcome to Flowable's first webinar in 2025. I'm Oriana Lico, Head of Marketing for Flowable. I will be your host today. What we will be discussing is both business orchestration and automation technology, a term introduced by Gartner back in summer 2024, and the concept that has sparkled several initiatives actually in the automation space and the automation market, influencing on one hand vendors like here, us at Flowable, in the way that we shape our roadmaps, and on the other hand, how enterprises across various industries formulate their automation strategies. What we will be discovering today or exploring a bit further is, first and foremost, what is both and how much is it worth considering from all different angles? Is it purely or a natural convergence that was inevitable in the market? Or most importantly, what is its role in the future of enterprise automation? To discuss all these different aspects around both today, I am actually honored to have two distinguished speakers in the forum. The first one that I will be very honored to welcome is Paul Vincent, a name that I'm hoping many of you know already, has been with Gartner for decades, is an ex-Gartner analyst, very well versed with the automation space, and director at Gartner for many, many years. And I am always very, very happy when I welcome you over and over at Flowable's event, both on-site or virtual like today's one, Paul. Welcome, happy to have you here.
Thank you very much, Oriana. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very much looking forward to today's session. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you, Paul. And going on with our second speaker, also very well known, especially here at Flowable from our side, our own Flowable CEO, Agim Memrule, also been in the automation space for pretty much more than 2 decades in that regard. And probably many of you know him already, especially from all of our FlossFest talks. He is the one that always gives this visionary look on where we are going with Flowable. This is one part that he will also touch upon when it comes to both framework and how we fit within it in today's webinar. Welcome, Agim. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Oriana. Thank you, Paul. Happy to be here.
Nice. So what is it that we will be talking about today? The webinar per se is called Putting Both to Work. So this is what we are trying to achieve, especially in enterprise automation. So how do we explore some strategical use cases and how we make them a bit more tangible and concrete to the audience that is joining us today? We will start off initially with Paul. He will give us a broad overview on what both is, what is its role in enterprise automation, how it evolved in the market this far, to then move on with Agim, giving us a gateway in business transformation and how Flowable is actually approaching or what its fit within the both framework would be. We will end today's webinar with an open discussion. Luckily, from our perspective, we've been receiving plenty of questions from a lot of registrants upon registration to today's webinar. We, of course, will not be able to handle all of them today live. I pick a few that might sparkle some interesting discussion at the end of today's webinar, but we will make sure to follow up to every one of you at the end of the webinar. For everybody that is joining either now or a bit later, we will make sure to record the webinar. It will be available in all of Flowable's channels, so stay tuned. And without further ado, over to you, Paul.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Oriana. And I'm delighted to kick off 2025 Flowable webinar with Boat. As Oriana said, the structure for the webinar is myself discussing Boat, and Agim's going to give the Flowable perspective. The important thing to note with Boat, though, is that it comes from a background of business automation, which is getting a lot of attention, especially with the interest in agentic AI in the last 18 months. But going back to basics, automation is really around using IT to execute repetitive tasks. Agentic AI, Gen AI, etc., is mostly to do with assistance rather than automation. But we'll come back to that as we look through the different technologies in Boat. Obviously, in order to automate the business, I also need to consider the processes, what Gartner calls business process automation, Forrester more digital automation, which is around using IT to orchestrate and execute these processes and their associated tasks in order to achieve business value. And of course, there's various different technologies to achieve there. And this has been around for a long time, various different technologies to do with process orchestration. And those processes can either be human, they can be IT services, they can be integration tasks, obviously decision tasks, and so on. So any type of task that's used as part of the business process is something which is invoked from and modeled in the process technology stack. And that modeling is, or visual process engineering, if you like, is used because this is a very well-defined, orchestration, defining the flow of processes, very well defined throughout IT. It makes no sense to code that in a language or like Java or in your own XML structures. There are standards that have been defined to represent this. They work well. They're well proven. And having the visual representation makes it much easier, much faster to build these orchestrations, much quicker to change, much quicker to update. And of course, because it's visual, it makes business IT communication much easier. And that's a huge value for the organization. And because this is still a formal language, it's not PowerPoint. The orchestration is a system. Then it supports verification, i.e. it's provable. The system can do checks to see whether the flows are complete, and so on. And validation, I'm able to create test cases and unit tests and validate that the processes do what I expect them to do. Because this technology has been around for a long time, there are standards available. In fact, there's a primary standard, which is BPMN. Those of you with long memories will remember things like BPEL from the early 2000s. There's pretty much been replaced. BPMN, Business Process Modeling Notation, or Model and Notation from ONG, is the de facto standard. And generally, vendors will either support BPMN or they will have a close facsimile to it. But obviously having a standard is a huge advantage. And also open source is available. Again, this is something we'll come back to. But for organizations which want the ability to rely on a backup of having open source available, then that's a sign of maturity for the market, and that's certainly something we see and is available indeed from Flowable. The net effect of all this orchestration technology is that I can quickly build systems, I can combine systems together, I can combine and integrate people and systems, and I can create those repetitive business automations in a very straightforward and standardized way. And that increases my business agility, it reduces errors in the business, increases standardization, improves my compliance, and of course ends up reducing costs. And that's the underlying sort of reason why people use this technology. So that's the background, if you like, to process and automation. But what about BOAT and business orchestration automation technologies? Well, there's a few things to consider regarding these process automation technologies. They've evolved and continue to evolve along with all other IT technology stacks. So in the last 2 decades, they've added, standardized support for application programming interfaces. So you can plug in external systems very easily and different task types. And that's especially true for things like agentic AI services, which I can call from my process orchestration stacks very easily. They are becoming AI infused. That's a more recent trend, exploiting AI, and we'll come on to those sorts of AI services in a minute. And of course, they're supporting, cloud, whether AWS or Azure or GCP, various cloud infrastructures, and integrated with the cloud services like from SAP or Salesforce or ServiceNow, etc. So this evolution of automation technologies is continuing in line with the rest of the IT world. Now, business orchestration automation technologies is the latest term to cover this stack, and that's because a lot of the automation technologies have been observed to be adding orchestration. They themselves need to be orchestrated as part of the business, and also orchestration technologies have been integrating more and more subsidiary automation technologies like integration, for example, like RPA and things like that. So there's an increasing interest in one size sort of unified platforms to cover automation, but you can also view BOAT as a platform framework if you have a strategy of best of breed, and you have a particular investment in a particular RPA vendor, for example, then you can view BOAT as an enterprise architecture framework for how you select and retain and utilize these automation technologies together. And so, that list of technologies, is ever increasing. So I mentioned RPA and integration. You also have to include things like low-code user interface development, intelligent document processing, IDP, decisioning, including AI decisioning, etc. Whatever service comes along, if it's got an API and providing an automation capability and value to the business, then you will be able to integrate it with your BOAT technology stack, with your orchestration stack. So that's the background and the reason why BOAT is coming along. But we have to recognize that BOAT is just another term for the various different terms that have been used over the years for this orchestration technology stack. And those of you with long memories will remember things like the workflow market in the 90s and 2000s, where these tools were originally brought out to handle things like call center management. How do I manage the people in a call center? And then organizations recognized the value of the processes they were building with these workflow stacks and focused on the management of those as, again, an enterprise architecture perspective. So business process management came about. And that's looked at everything from process mining through to optimization and evolution of your processes supporting the business. And then there was a little bit of a backlash against BPM that moved to process automation, to focus back to delivery of processes rather than the management of processes. And more recently, the recognition that this orchestration isn't just of particular processes; it's applicable, at an enterprise level for pretty much every business activity. It's a strategic requirement for the business to be able to orchestrate and understand its processes. So over time, the use of these capabilities, these orchestration tools, if you like, have moved more and more strategic. And it's interesting to compare with things like integration orchestration, which is, if you like, the main IT requirement for orchestration, which has been around again, since APIs evolved. And have been, strategic. Interesting enough, probably moving to more tactical with more business usage of those tools. So that's how the terminology has evolved. Now, if we look at, why is BOAT becoming important from 2025, and as I said, we've got more and more processes that people are managing and need to manage and need to orchestrate, more and more technologies that need to be automated, and increasingly strategic importance. And it's important to note that these workflow, process management, automation, orchestration concepts are carrying on. With the latest boat technologies, I'm doing workflow, I can do process management, I'm automating processes. So it's not that this is something that has changed, and we see that continuing for sure. But if you look at the other technologies like API integration, they're increasingly being embedded in these other technologies. So I can, of course, invoke my favorite integration technology through API, but will also find the popular connectors being built into both technology stacks. If we look at the decisioning technologies in the 90s, this was primarily concerned with what we called rule engines, now really replaced with decision engines, typically built in to process stacks, and the equivalent standard to BPMN from a process perspective is for decisions is DMN, and so you will see decision support and decision table support built into your process engines. And also we've seen, since the 2000s, the big interest in big data, analytics, etc., AI-driven decisioning as a standard capability. We've seen low-code user interfaces being built. We've seen intelligent document processing. We've seen attended robotic process automation for, from a tactical perspective, agentic AI appearing now. And so as more technologies appear, you will find that, they will be either strategic or tactical, and that they will all be concerned within the boat framework. Now, it's important to note that not all these technologies have the same applicability to all use cases. So they may be assistive, or they may be, providing standalone capabilities. They may be supporting knowledge workers or business transactions. They may have citizen developers versus IT-focused development. Their AI may be agentic, or it may be decision-oriented. And my use cases may be departmental or enterprise. And it's important to note that some of these automation technologies are very much focused on sort of like the more departmental. That's not to devalue them. They still can save a lot of money in organizations, but they're a different form compared to things like the analytics and data analytics engines that I want to introduce from a big data perspective. And the interesting thing is that some of the boat technology areas are applicable to both of these areas. So both departmental, enterprise, assistive, and standalone. So I still need to orchestrate tasks. I need to orchestrate my RPA steps, for example, or my agentic AI steps, just as much as I need to orchestrate my AI decisions. I still need to make decisions, provide some level of decision automation. Obviously, that can vary from low to high in terms of automation. I still need to talk to external data systems, and I still need to provide some level of user interface. So some of these capabilities are common depending, regardless of use case. And if I look at the sorts of use cases as well, I will still have those, specialist use cases where I start off with a single technology like RPA, like agentic AI. And then I will start off with, my automation team, building departmental applications. I will use my orchestrator, my decisioning, my data integration, probably access, maybe some built-in services or my SaaS, but, with a focus on a particular automation. And then as I extend to build more and more applications, I will be adding more of those automation services underneath. So I'll be typically now adding agentic AI. I'll be adding access to things like my ERP system, maybe building more customer service for specific jobs. And so we see that the boat framework can extend to an enterprise level, covering multiple services. And then finally, the interesting thing here is what are the differentiators to look for amongst the technology providers. Again, we'll say a little bit more on this, but we have things like AI-assisted development becoming to the fore, people using Gen AI and large language models to assist with the development. And that's really interesting to make development even faster, to get to the first draft application done much more quickly compared to hand coding. The second perspective is and differentiator is event-driven. We do see organizations, gradually increasing their footprint of things like Kafka in their organizations, and it's interesting to note that I can feed the business events into my orchestration engines and orchestrate my automations from Kafka as I can from any other service. And then the third one, which is really interesting from a Flowable perspective, is case management technology. So it turns out that my processes in most large strategic use cases have a lot of complexities. I have situations like changes in customer situations which occur in the middle of processes and things like that, which means that I have to have adaptive business processes. It's not just enough to have an orchestration. It needs to be adaptive. And that's really where case management technology comes in. So this is a little bit about the boat theory. What I'd like to do now is hand over to Akim to tell us about the flowable perspective on boat.
Thank you, Paul, and glad to take over. So our perspective is basically pretty much aligned. What Gartner is putting together on boat and Paul has shown here, it's really fulfills our vision that we have since many years. And looking back at the architecture, Flowable really delivers most of the boat stack that customers are using. We have built Flowable over the years, but we have already delivered the capabilities or added them recently, like the AI capabilities, to really handle your boat stack. With a view that we deliver capabilities, we integrate tools, or we deliver connectors. So talking about external systems, Flowable delivers already connectors like for Salesforce so that you can connect your CRM system. We deliver both capabilities or automation capabilities like RPA, Agentic AI, IDP. And then we deliver all the technologies needed to really build a boat stack. That gives you the freedom to really only use the capabilities you need, but also to integrate the best of breed style integration, the best technologies to really have full control about your boat stack. So we don't mandate basically what kind of flavors you're using because almost every enterprise IT is custom made. So talking about how this boat evolved, actually Flowable has evolved over a long time. And as we have seen on Paul's roadmap, we have been very early, so to say, using activity as our heritage, having a BPM workflow engines tied with decision engines later. And then Flowable was already the first release that we had. We really had a case management in place, process automation, and every other capability to deliver a full stack to automate your process. What we have added over the time, or always from the beginning with Flowable, it was an open source community. So most of the stuff is basically available for free so that you can either use our enterprise offering or you could use components to really make your handmade boat stack. We have added everything to the cloud, and recently we have delivered a Flowable platform that allows you to have the full stack, what is considered boat, with integrations and business orchestration to really handle or to really do both use cases inside your organization. So as you can see, while both might be a new concept, what we have done to build automation technologies is something we already do since now 15 years with our technology to support customers building their automation stack. I want to talk quickly about a few key ingredients which we see as important if you want to build your boat stack all the time. So the first and very important thing is what we support from a global perspective is actually data. We believe data is the foundation. So no matter in which flavor you are automating things or integrating things, you will always rely on a strong data model that you need to work with that. So Flowable has already added a data abstraction, which is also part of the broader boat stack. a unified data model that you can use inside any execution you're having. That data model might be fed by structured data, which might pull through an API. That can be your custom APIs or enterprise systems, which I will show in a minute, or it might be unstructured data. So you're feeding in data like through an IDP system or pictures or anything else. So with Flowable, we are always supporting both ends on how to feed data and use inside your boat architecture. So the first one is API and data integration tools. It's quite important that with boat, you can really orchestrate business. For that, you need different type of integrations. So the first and important one, which you saw already on the architecture of Paul and myself, is enterprise systems, is really integrating your backbone of systems you're using. And Flowable is supporting you to integrate Salesforce, SAP, and any other common system. Second, it's important to have service connectors. So it's really integrating all your custom code that you're having or any other API you're having to really use it inside your boat stack. There needs to be a good service discovery, a good data mapping, so that really the data can flow into your workflows. And third, as mentioned already, it's all about event-based connectors. So you can really react you can really have you can really react on the different events and drive your workflows or cases. So the second type of data that you can add is really the IDP. So you can use intelligent document processing to really feed in the data that you have. And it doesn't have to be a document on itself. It can be pictures, it can be any type of forms you're using. And it all is about inside your boat stack about classifying that document, extracting the data, and validating and enriching that data. And with that together, with the data, the question is now what you can do. There's actually two types or two layers how you can work. You can work very much on the orchestration layer. So you can use and automate any type of process in your organization. You can do a straight through processing. So you can connect the data, you can pull and push data into your system, or you can work with a human in the loop approach or human on the loop. And that is the best combination working with case management that allows you to either use predefined orchestration, so really interacting on cases and processes you define, or really interacting on events you're receiving through your business system. And those events allows you, together with case management, to really be flexible. So you could get external events and then basically drive your cases in a non-linear, non-planned way to really drive your business outcome. So that's why we believe, although you have seen the capabilities that you need for both and how they evolved over the time, we really believe the combination of having a common orchestrator to drive your processes and having case management on top really unlocks the value of both. With case management, there's actually a great advantages you can use, like greater flexibility for non-standardized workflows. We know in reality that you can't basically standardize everything, especially customer-driven workflows. You can't force your customer to strictly follow a process without sacrificing the customer service. That's why Cases allows you a very customer-centric approach, so to say, to really react based on the customer needs and not on the predefined processes. You can orchestrate the human in the loop. So whenever humans are involved, case management is the perfect glue between humans and automated processes to drive the automation. You have a high level of adaptability, so you can change cases also during that. So you might have, for instance, a case which runs for many months, but you might need to reroute that case internally because there might be changes like new sanctions that have been imposed so that the case needs to execute differently. You will have an enhanced decision making because you get all the case context. The human worker can do the best decision, and you can focus on high value use cases that really drives your business. So with case management, there is a good basically foundation you can use. And I want to talk about another topic. The last piece is really agentic case management. That's the next evolution. How you can really drive case management to the next level. It's not just about humans, but it's also about agents. And I think a good terminology is like really trying to treat agents in your architecture or in your enterprise like human employees. You need to watch those agents, you need to introduce them, you need to guardrail them. And this is what we believe agentic case management will allow. And before diving deeper into agentic case management, the first thing is actually how to create a process or a case. And with that, Flowable has already delivered as part of Flowable AI Studio, which we have already shipped, an AI assisted modeling. So you can generate your processes and cases by just typing in to a prompt and defining what you want to generate, and you will get a fully built application where you can also integrate then your services and you can tweak it. But with the generated application, you have a good foundation to see basically how does my application run, how do I call things, and how to really change and add those. For that, the models like BPMN, CMN, DMN are really powerful to guide you. On the next level, you can start incorporating agents into the picture. So that really means instead of having a human task, you create an agent, which you can create in Flowable. We support our own agents, which you can build on an LLM system like Microsoft AI. They will support RAG, so you can feed in data, or you can use external agents. That is basically the agents like general purpose agents of Microsoft Copilot Studio, specialized agents like Salesforce and others, and really use those agents inside your workflow. So instead of having a human task, you would have an AI agent task. The AI agent would execute work for you. And the nice thing is you don't need to code the agent or you don't need a lengthy rule set. You can literally just type in what you want to have by a prompt and get it executed by the agent. Those agents might do simple general purpose stuff like extracting an address, inspecting some documents, or they might have a very specialized knowledge which you feed into the agent through a retrieval augmentation generation process. So that basically, for instance, you could take your standard operating procedures, feed it into the agent, combined with the data, the agent will do the work and provide the output. So as of today, I showed you only this kind of primer. You will see later that we will have a dedicated webinar, which is really talking all about AI. But I think here I want to give you the overview that the boat stack is really something that plays very nicely together with AI and AI agents. And that gives you the perfect combination to automate, orchestrate, no matter if it's a human task or if it's an agent task. So let's talk about, and that was the idea to bridge about the business, how you can use Boat. Actually, Boat is used already at plenty of our customers, really working with that. Small or large, it is used the larger the customer, like here, what we have, the largest private bank, there it is used strategically. So it's not just the department, it is really orchestrating the business across a full division or even across the full enterprise. And as we can see here, typically, customers are using Flowable technology like case management, orchestrator, decision tools, and then they call custom services through an API gateway, or they use agentic AI through the Azure OpenAI service. And with those building blocks, it is really possible to build business applications like periodic KYC review. It's all about knowing your customers, also in the periodic way, handling unstructured payments in your system, which you might receive through different channels, or doing asset transfer in case of people are moving between divisions, between countries. And all with that can be built in a low-code way together with the Flowable stack as a foundation, and really to achieve the implementation of scalable and complex workflows. We're not talking here about a simple KYC. As a private bank, you have very harsh due diligence requirements, like an enhanced due diligence, which needs to be added. And those flows can be very complex. They can be very collaborative, so spanning multiple people and organization. And they can run for a very long time. And while they're running, a lot of things can change in the outside environment. That's why, for instance, a case together fits very well. You increase your cost efficiencies. So there is no basically process and then a lot of emails and spreadsheets going around in the organization. You can use all the elements inside your common boat stack. So that means everything is executed there. And therefore, you have auditing capabilities to reduce your global risks and also to follow local laws. With a boat stack, you can really start and implement every process you have. In this bank, we have done more than 60 processes. We improved the business performance, and we added AI agents, which can really do certain tasks like extracting content, managing content, or even, for instance, going and extracting data out of a call transcription and then kick off a workflow on that. So as you can see in the banking space, there's a huge potential to really use and integrate all the services a bank typically has. Nowadays, there are microservices, fortunately, which you can integrate through an API. Together with the boat stack, you can really build many applications which spans your entire bank. The next customer that we have is a top 10 P&C insurance in the US. They are also using strategically the boat approach or the boat stack together with Flowable. There they're using also custom services, but also Salesforce to really integrate their CRM into their automation stack. So their goal was operational alignment between the units. They wanted to use their CRM data for complex workflow, AI for knowledge management, so really pull existing standard operating procedures and work with agents to work on that. And they wanted to unify their entire claims approach. And as you can see, there was the underwriting, they did the funding, they did the renter's insurance. So one use case after the other one to really do with your unified boat approach what the customer is doing. That leads to faster loan underwriting, which is important for time to market, seamless integration, so you don't need to enter data into multiple systems, fewer errors because the data is better, and overall, and most importantly, improved customer experience. So the response time is faster, the information is more accurate, and you basically eliminate any loops you might have there. So this shows you as an example that there are many factors there. So the first one is you can use both in different type of flavors, really tailored to your organization, depending on where your journey is at the moment with your enterprise environment. You might have many out-of-the-box enterprise system. You might have many custom-made systems. It depends on the capabilities you want to add inside your boat stack. But it shows that you can really do different use cases across different industries with one boat approach and incrementally introduce all the processes to really reach to an enterprise level boat stack, which you can use inside your organization. And with that being said, it is really a powerful framework or blueprint you can use to improve your entire enterprise landscape to have a unified automation approach. With that being said, I think we are starting into the open discussion. As Oriana mentioned, we have received plenty of questions and we want to tackle a few ones of them.
Correct. Thank you, Agim. Thank you, Paul. It was extremely insightful, especially your last piece, Agim, because I believe both from a customer science perspective on one side, on the other side, on all of our conversations with analysts, with Gartner, with Forrester, what the biggest ask from the market is can we have some concrete cases? How do you actually implement both? What is concretely out there that we can see, that we can understand, make it a bit tangible? And same goes for AI. Yeah? And it's very interesting. You touched upon it slightly in the beginning. Again, I believe we will also make a quick intro at the end of this webinar on what we'll be talking next. It's the future of AI, especially in organizations like Flowable. We used to say recently that the future of teamwork is agentic. I think this will become probably one of the new leitmotifs for a lot of BPI vendors, right? How do we become holistically the orchestrators of all the agents and bring business value into the different organizations? Which brings me to a couple of the questions out of the open discussion. We chose a few. I will start off with the very first one, which again goes a bit in understanding business value. Yeah. how can we use both to improve company performance? And I would like for you to maybe take this first, Agim, since your last piece was really relating business performance or business applicability of both.
Yes, of course. So how can you improve company performance? I think there's many measures how you can measure that, but I think there are different ones which are really important. Is basically customer experience, so to say. So how can you increase your customer experience with both workflows? So many times customers fall short because there are silos, and those silos might be a very modern architecture like microservices, but you need technologies to integrate that. You need also technologies to, quite frankly, integrate old technologies like with RPA or content like with IDP and really bring that together. And typically what we see is basically your customer experience increases, your operational efficiency goes up, so you can handle more processes or requests with the same team. And also at the same time, your compliance level increases. You're sure that with using both and orchestrating your processes, that you are not slipping any requirement there. So it's really about better customer service, it's better operational efficiency, and it's also better risk management or compliance, which you can improve and also measure, of course, on your boat journey.
And I think some of those we also saw in your use cases, right? Like fewer or minimized error, for example, better performance, higher customer intimacy. Thank you, Agim. What is your take or view on this, Paul?
Yeah, I think I would also add in there, improving employee satisfaction and also customer satisfaction alongside company performance. Obviously, those are second order factors to driving company performance. But if I've got a tool which does all the drudge work in terms of managing my business processes and managing customer queues, etc., and I know I can rely on that, makes life much easier for the employees handling things like customer service or operations. And it's also beneficial to have that standardized approach for customers. They have guaranteed sort of performance of to their queries and to their requests to the business for the business operations. So those are also key benefits, I think, for introducing boat technology, which is not just the orchestration, it's also the automation technologies. I think agility is the other one I would mention, because I can add, if I have a new agentic AI mechanism or tool come out and I want to include it, providing it's got an API, I can use it as part of my processes. I can and I can do experiments. I can do blue-green sort of tests. I have a full flexibility and agility to introduce and roll things out further or backtrack as necessary. And that's really the power of these high performance, very easy to develop tools.
And it's a very important aspect. Yeah, this agility or flexibility aspect is extremely important, especially as we see that the market is evolving or changing is so extremely fast. Yeah, agentic AI, for example, developed and evolved to this extent only in the last few months. Yeah, so that agility piece becomes crucial from that perspective. Which brings me to a bit more comprehensive next question that came from the audience. Could you mention concrete examples of AI agent integration and use cases through workflow orchestration? For example, how can AI and both help solve business use cases such as or like anti-money laundering? I would also ask for you to tackle this first, Agim.
Yes, of course. So I think AML is something we do since a very long time, and mixing AI really makes it more powerful. So let me break down how a typical AML process would look in your boat stack. You would have, for instance, a case which would span basically over 5 steps. So the first one, most important one, is KYC. In order to do AML efficiently, you need to know your customer. You would have a transaction monitoring, which really is looking into your payments and identifying suspicious transactions. You would have a suspicious activity reporting to FINMA or any other authority. You would have AML compliance, how that is treated in your organization, so the workflow, so to say, and you would have a sanction screening. So you need to watch any new sanctions which might be imposed and loop that back into your AML. So what you would do is basically on each stage, you can think about how to use agents. So on the KYC, for instance, we're using already agents on content automation. So a lot of things on know your customer is actually getting and verifying content, getting address confirmations, getting any other proofs. The agents can help you to get the data, to review the data, and prepare everything in your KYC dashboard and make sure that the officer, the compliance officer who is doing the KYC check can focus on the output of everything and not gathering the data, which can be really done by an AI agent. You can go and, for instance, automate the sanction screening. So you can have agents which are basically using the sanctions data and then provide an answer on that. If changed sanctions, what impact do they have on your AML system? And this just becomes a matter of time where some ideas where you can really add AI bots on all the 5 stages I've shown there. You might even use very specialized bots. I'm pretty sure there will be AI-based solution for transaction monitoring coming up, which you might integrate as a service in your application. So that might be an agent which is highly specialized, working on our own data model, while you might have general purpose agents for tasks like KYC, content management, and others.
Yeah, that is also very interesting because you were showing it in your previous case, and on the other side, we can say is that in a sense you are empowering knowledge workers by supporting them with AI agents, right? And this, I believe, what companies are looking for in terms of productivity and business outcomes. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think this is, I totally agree with Kim. I think I would also add in there that traditionally the transaction filtering and event detection is a key factor in AML. So that's going to be where I am using, traditional big data AI analytics, or neural nets, for example, on data transactions, which are trained on existing history of AML cases. And that's sort of like the level one, but I would also be augmenting that with decisioning sets, so more traditional business logic decisions, looking for explicit transactions involving the expertise of your key AML analysts in the organization. And of course, yes, the Gen AI aspects would probably work alongside those.
I think we barely have time for a last question. I see that there are more actually coming from the audience as we speak, which I find very interesting. It is a topic that definitely everybody wants to understand a bit better and further into. We will tackle this last one that came to the audience upon registration. How will agentic AI frameworks look like in the near future? You touched upon it, Agim, a bit earlier, especially from Flowable's perspective.
Yes, of course. So in our perspective, we are the orchestrator of agents, AI agents. Although we deliver some agents on ourselves, we are orchestrating agents. And I think in the long run, if you're able to orchestrate agents, you will basically pick the best agent for your task, and you will have different flavors. So you will have agents, for instance, which are very common knowledge. You will have agents which are highly specialized, and you will have agents in between. So you will have agents where you need a super fast response. You will have agents which might go slower. And then it comes down actually to even FinOps. You will have agents which are more expensive, and you have agents which are cheaper. It's that simple. The agents will cost or are costing you a price tag. And I think with agent orchestration, we will give you the tools at hand. So based on criticality, the complexity of the task or speed of the answer you need from an agent or the skill set, you can choose the best agent for the job and really run it so that it's not just about I introduce agents, but what are the best agents? And those can be on the quality of the output, but it also can be money. It's basically the cost of the agent. And in our vision, we will provide you in the midterm also tools how you can automatically choose the best agent for a task. So you define your case and certain activities that needs to be done, and Flowable automatically will discover the best agent for you based on preconditions and really call that. And that really allows you to really route the work dynamically to the best agent, whatever best agent might mean in your particular use case. But this is a short answer to a very broad topic. And like I mentioned, to finalize the question is, we will add agents which are also highly specialized or for different tasks. So it's really up to you to pick out of the big agent landscape that is evolving at the moment.
Yeah, which would make Flowable in a way not just the holistic orchestrator, but also the holistic governor, right? The one that actually governs both the autonomy of agents in a sense, and also it governs the business impact from a cost perspective. Yeah, so that's very, very exciting. Thanks for sharing that, Agim. What do you think, Paul, about the future of agentic AI?
Well, I've already survived one AI winter from the expert systems world, so I suggest proceeding with caution on agentic AI from a big picture perspective. You can exploit it tactically, and agentic AI frameworks, I'm sure we'll see specialist, domain-specific ones, industry-specific ones, but just like RPA, you will find that coalescing against a certain set of technology stacks which you will end up orchestrating in something like Boat. So you will see specialist agentic AI frameworks, but you will quickly find that they converge, if you like, and end up being subsumed into general purpose business frameworks. Because at the end of the day, you still need to handle the data, you still need to handle the people, you still need to handle your integrations and your APIs and your other systems. So it's part of the same problem of overall business automation.
Which is pretty much what we were trying to touch upon from the very beginning of this session today, on how we handle data, how we actually handle all the integration piece, the orchestration, and the overall layer of case management, and yeah, including humans or agents in the loop for that matter. Yeah. We are a bit over time, but I'm very excited to see that a lot of people are still there online and following, which means that the interest is high around the topic. I will take the opportunity to thank you, Agim and Paul, for being here today. It was extremely insightful. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Oriana, for arranging a very good session, I thought.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear. I'm really happy if it was perceived as such a very good session also from all the audience today. Two more things from my end before actually we call it off. The first one is, yes, the webinar today is recorded. I also saw a few questions coming through the chat. It will be available to everybody that registered or attended today live, as much as in our website or other channels. So please stay tuned. And the second part is, you will also find today's deck effectively in the resources. You can go down at the bottom of your Zoom webinar and find all of the presentation, the deck that we went through today. You can also find a bit more insights as you go about your day or evening. And the last piece, which is absolutely not least, is AI agency. This is what we will be talking next. So make sure to either actually register to the QR code in here. You will also find it among the resources or across all Flowable channels. This is our upcoming webinar happening both on the 4th of March and the 5th of March. We will talk quite a bit about how Flowable is addressing the agentic AI or agentic case platform, going from modeling to assistance, actually, to very autonomous agents. Stay tuned. Thanks again for joining in, and until next time. Bye, everyone.